Boy, the economy affects so many different people in so many different ways, and age has a lot to do with that. Joining us now to talk about Gen Z and the struggles that they're going through right now, Monika Hengesbach, who is a financial expert, been in the business for 30 years now, and CEO at Decision Financial Services. Monika, welcome in. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, let's define Gen Z. First of all, these are people ages 12 to 27, born in 1997. Through 2012. So, yeah, young folks. What's the main reason that they're struggling any more than any other young generation that's come up?
Truthfully, they've been hit hard with two separate financial calamities. One of them is COVID, as we well know, and then the other is inflation. And so a big chunk of these Gen Zers are graduating out of college into unprecedented inflation. And so everything is a lot more expensive than in past generations.
Boy, I tell you, COVID really messed with a lot of people, even adults and parents, and everybody got kind of shut down and isolated. But you're right. People that young being affected by it with not only having to deal with puberty and adolescence and growing up and self-awareness and development, but you throw in COVID on top of that and the isolation. I mean, it's a psychologist, nightmare. And now they come out of it, and it's like, whoa, a tsunami of inflation and financial trouble here. Not to mention a lot of, folks on the upper end of that coming out of college with major debt right now. So, yeah, it seems like the perfect storm for disaster. So what's some good advice you have for young people that are coming out, can't get the good salaries? People aren't, offering as much money as they used to these days?
One of the things that I recommend is learning more about finances. It's such a shame that they no longer offer classes just on basic bookkeeping and financial literacy. And so my first recommendation is for them to get a better understanding of the value of a dollar today. Learn how to make a budget that they can stick with. The Gen Z generation is all about less stress. And man, I wish I could have that. Trust me, I wish I could take a little bit of their book.
There are a lot of people on the other side of that say, well, look, you got to toughen up. You pull up your bootstraps. Let's go. You can't be coming out of here, with the attitude that, well, I've got my college degree. I deserve $100,000 right away. And, look, I got to have work-life balance. I mean, I got 2 dogs at home. I'm going to need at least 12 hours a week where I can just chill with my dogs. And, can I come into work 3 days a week? And I mean, wow. And it's like the wimpification of America is happening right before our eyes. And, the older generation in the workforce seems to be allowing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a real difficulty. I mean, I remember when we had to go to classes, they were recommending owners go classes to understand this generation's personality so we wouldn't upset them. And so it's a different generation, which means we need to gear the strategies differently for them to understand it and be able to utilize it. And that's why we recommend, starting to save little bits at a time to get better understanding of financial literacy. I mean, they're so technology savvy, and there's a tremendous amount of financial apps that they really can get into and start utilizing to help them start to save in the future and learn a little bit more about how they can grow their money.
I remember, I've said this ever since I came through school and till now, we don't teach basic finance to young people in schools. We learn about the quarters and the nickels and dimes in elementary school. And then from there on, it's kind of like that's the last time you hear about how to manage money until you get out of school and you're like, I don't know much about it. The basics, balancing a checkbook, not spending more than you make, how to invest, safely. What's the downside of X, Y, and Z? We ought to be doing this in every classroom from kindergarten all the way through graduation in high school. And I think when you graduate from high school, you ought to be pretty ready to rock and roll with investments and what's happening with the stock market and housing and interest rates and, the just compounded interest. I mean, all of that is a nightmare when you first start dealing with it.
Yep, I agree. I think that if they started to do this in school and make it fun for them at a younger age, where they start to learn about finances, everyone opens up a little savings account. As they start to grow older and, go into high school, they start to learn about investing. I mean, I took a step back and I thought, what did I ever do with my algebra classes that I took? I mean, I'm in accounting. That was a waste of time. I wish they would have taught me more about just what you mentioned, the stock market, how to invest.
The reality.
The value of a dollar. Exactly. How to manage life, really.
And one of the, I think, biggest things right now is the housing industry. I mean, you couple that with inflation coming out of COVID and low-income jobs available. It's like, wow. I mean, the American dream of buying that house has now gone from $200,000 to $800,000 just for the norm.
Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a harsh reality, and a lot of these kids coming out of schooling, they have to rent, and rents increased over 5% in the previous year. So like 20% of their paycheck just goes to their rent alone, which is making it very difficult for them even to save for that down payment on a home.
All right, if a parent's listening now, they want to help their kids. You mentioned some financial apps that are good for young people. Is there one or two in particular that stand out to you that would be good to, download this app, and it kind of, runs through the basics of what you ought to be doing to, maintain good financial stability?
Yeah, there's a couple. One of them is Acorns. That one's a really good one because it can connect to your bank account. So the minute you use your debit card for going out to eat, it will put it into this spreadsheet that will show you how much you spent on eating out, for example. So that's a really good one. And then there's something called, I think it's called Mind Your Own Budget, MYNB. Or YNAB. That's a great tool for them to start learning how to create a budget that's actually manageable.
Very good. Very good. Well, I appreciate your insight this morning, Monika. Thank you so much. CEO at Decision Financial Services, Monika Hengesbach. Appreciate you. We'll have you back soon.